In the world of billionaire celebrities, there are kings, there are icons, and then there was Diddy Combs, a man who built an empire of music, fashion, luxury, and global influence. A man who once stood as one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar kingdom, a trendsetter who shaped culture, launched careers, and lived a lifestyle that most people cannot even dream about. But in 2025, everything changed. Because behind the mansions, behind the private jets, behind the perfectly sculpted image of a self-made mogul, there existed a story no one expected. A story filled with allegations, secret operations, hidden truths, federal raids, controversies, lawsuits, leaked tapes, testimonies, and a documentary that shook the entire entertainment world. This is the story of a billionaire lifestyle collapsing under its own weight. This is the story of fame, power, money, and consequences. This is the Diddy Scandal 2025, the dark truth behind his billionaire empire. Today on Billionaire Luxury Things, we uncover the entire truth with no filters, no fear, and no holding back. Before we talk about the downfall, we have to understand the rise. Because Diddy didn't just succeed, he dominated. He began his career as a dreamer in New York, a young hustler, a student of the streets and the studio, a man with a vision bigger than the entire hip-hop world at the time. At Uptown Records, he learned the game, music, marketing, image, style, and when he was fired, he didn't break. He built his own empire, Bad Boy Entertainment. Under Bad Boy, he discovered and shaped legends. Biggie Smalls, Maze, 112, Faith Evans, Total. The list goes on. Diddy became the face of the shiny suit era. A mix of business genius, showmanship, and unmatched ambition. He dominated awards, charts, and television screens. And then came Sean John, his clothing line, his restaurants, his reality shows, his brand partnerships, his investments, his network of artists, his Croc deal, which alone took his fortune to new heights. By the mid-2010s, he wasn't just a rapper or a producer. He was a billion-dollar brand, a man who moved like royalty, a man who lived life in private jets, exotic vacations, and million-dollar yachts, a man who influenced fashion, music, business, and even politics. But behind this entire empire, something darker was always whispering. Whispers that the public ignored. Whispers that insiders claimed were open secrets. Whispers that would one day explode into the biggest scandal hip-hop has ever seen. The first cracks began appearing years ago. It started with rumors, backstage stories, party whispers, staff and former associates hinting a lifestyle that was far more chaotic, toxic, and dangerous than the glossy photos revealed. But these stories stayed in the shadows. Because Diddy was too powerful, too connected, too rich. Nobody wanted to go against a man who controlled entire careers. But then, the first lawsuits began to appear. Claims that painted a completely different picture of Diddy's private world. Claims involving manipulation, threats, abuse, and extreme behavior behind closed doors. Most cases were settled. Some disappeared. Some were silenced. But the whispers, they kept growing. And then, 2023 and 2024 happened. Suddenly, the allegations were louder, stronger, public. People began filing lawsuits. Former partners began speaking out. The world started paying attention. But even then, no one expected what came next. Because the real shock wasn't the accusations. It was the federal raids that hit in 2024. It was a normal day on social media, until suddenly footage went viral. Federal agents outside Diddy's mansions. Dozens of black SUVs, officers with badges, cyber teams, boxes of evidence, helicopters above, search warrants being executed. The internet exploded. People wanted answers. What was being searched? What did the government know? What was happening inside the mansion? The news confirmed it. Two of Diddy's properties, one in Los Angeles, one in Miami, were raided simultaneously. This wasn't a celebrity lawsuit. This wasn't social media drama. This was federal. Inside the homes, investigators reportedly seized digital devices, surveillance footage, hard drives, phones, documents, security archives, personal files. Something big was happening. Something massive. Something the public had never seen before. For the first time in his career, Diddy went silent. His legal team made statements. His PR team denied everything. But the images of federal agents storming his luxurious estates had already burned into people's minds. This was no longer rumor. This was real. And then came the biggest shock of all, the release of the documentary, Diddy Combs, The Reckoning. This wasn't a simple interview special. This was a full-scale investigative documentary, with testimonies, with witnesses, with people who had stayed silent for decades. For the first time, the world heard from former employees, associates, ex-partners, bodyguards, artists, people who claimed to have witnessed things inside his empire. The documentary told stories that felt almost unbelievable. Stories of extreme parties, shocking behavior, abuse of power, violence, manipulation, corruption, influence used in the darkest ways. Some stories were old, some are recent, some are terrifying. The internet exploded with reactions. Celebrities posted statements. Fans were heartbroken. The media covered it nonstop. Clips from the documentary went viral across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. For the first time, Diddy's carefully crafted image completely shattered. This wasn't gossip anymore. This wasn't music industry beef. This was a global scandal. After the documentary, the legal world exploded around Diddy. Lawsuits multiplied overnight. More people came forward. Lawyers began doing press conferences. Old employees began testifying. Former friends distanced themselves. Brands cut ties. Partnerships were paused. Diddy's legal team fought back hard, arguing that the accusations were false, motivated by money, or manipulated by the media. But even with the defenses, the pressure kept growing. Judge after judge reopened cases. Investigations expanded. New information surfaced. Media exposed past settlements. Documents leaked. Security footage and photos became public. Suddenly, the billionaire mogul who once seemed untouchable looked vulnerable. And for the first time, people began to ask, is this the end of Diddy's empire? Now the world began looking at his billionaire lifestyle again, but this time with suspicion. Every piece of luxury was questioned. The mansion parties, the exotic vacations, the endless stream of celebrities, the late-night gatherings, the security teams, the private events, the secret rooms, the underground networks of assistants and staff. People began asking, was all this luxury a cover? Were there secrets hidden inside these glamorous walls? Was his lifestyle built on darkness instead of success? How much was real and how much was manipulated? Every yacht photo, every mansion tour, every jet ride, every flashy event was now viewed in a completely different light. This is the moment millions realized that they didn't know Diddy. They only knew the image of Diddy. 2025 became the year of the Diddy dialogue. YouTubers, TikTok creators, journalists, podcasts, reaction channels, Twitter threads, Reddit discussion. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a question. Everyone had an opinion. Some defended him fiercely. Some attacked him relentlessly. Some dissected the allegations. Some analyzed the raids. Some broke down legal documents. Some reviewed the documentary frame by frame. The internet became a courtroom, and the public became the jury. It didn't matter if people believed he was guilty or innocent. What mattered was that everyone was talking. And when millions of people are talking, the story becomes impossible to escape. Money was once Diddy's power, but scandals are the one thing money cannot control forever. In 2025, multiple brands distanced themselves. Projects froze. Production companies paused contracts. Investors backed away. Launches were canceled. Business partners stepped aside. One by one, pillars of his empire began to crumble. The mansions were still there, but the world around him was collapsing. The billionaire lifestyle, the jets, the yachts, the unlimited access, was suddenly overshadowed by legal bills, public outrage, and nonstop headlines. A man who was once on top of the world was now fighting to protect everything he had built. There's still so much the public doesn't know. So much hidden behind legal walls. So much sealed in court documents. So much that insiders whisper but cannot prove. There are unanswered questions. What did investigators really find in the raids? What is on the seized hard drives? What stories were removed from the documentary? Who else is involved behind the scenes? How deep does the network go? Are more cases coming? And the biggest question of all, is Diddy the mastermind or just a symbol of something even bigger? The investigation is still ongoing. More information may still explode. The world is watching closely. As of 2025, the story is far from over. Diddy continues to maintain his innocence. His lawyers continue fighting. New evidence continues emerging. Victims continue speaking. Fans remain divided. Investigators keep digging. Some people believe this is the final chapter of Diddy's empire. Others believe this is only the beginning of a much larger storm. But one truth remains. The Sean Combs we once knew, the king of hip-hop, the billionaire mogul, the luxury icon, will never be seen the same way again. His empire may stand. His wealth may remain. But his legacy has changed forever. This is the Diddy Scandal 2025. A story of power, fame, wealth, shadow networks, and the cost of living at the top. A story that shook Hollywood. A story that shook the music world. A story that exposed the dark side of luxury. A story that continues to unfold every day. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Diddy will recover? Do you think the truth is bigger than what we've seen? Do you think justice will be served? Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of celebrity lifestyle, controversy, and power. Because here on Billionaire Luxury Things, we don't just show the luxury, we show the truth behind it.